Hello, Hello, Psychologies Magazine. Welcome to Writing to Flourish. My name is Jackee Holder. Welcome. Hello, Artie Josie. Hello, Colour Clouds. Hello, Anne. Hello, GOCDR. Hello, Maeve. Welcome, Durham 01668. Great. So excited to have you here. Absolutely delighted. Hello, Laura. Hello, Sandy. Lovely to have you in the house today. Welcome to Writing to Flourish. I'm really excited about today. Well, I'm excited about this, but there's so much happening in life, isn't there, right now? We're going into lockdown, second lockdown, as if we haven't had enough in 2020. We're back into lockdown. And I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about journaling. So let's see. We've got a lot to share today. I want to leave you with some journaling tips that will support you during lockdown. So let's dive in. Just want to say that given that we are going into lockdown in the UK, Wednesday's our last day before we go into lockdown for a month. It just seems like a perfect time to really get your journals out, your notebooks out, and to think about how you're going to be using this time as we go into the run up to Christmas. In a way, I think it's probably not a bad thing actually, because it will give us a chance to slow down. Because I don't know about you, but I often find this period leading up to Christmas so busy and exhausting. I know there were all the Christmas parties, and obviously we're not going to be having that now. But wouldn't it be nice to be like a tree that gets to rest in the winter? I think we as human beings need this. So I just want to tell you a quick reminder that you can order Psychologies Magazine and have it delivered either to your door, or you can read it online. So whichever one is convenient for you. Given that we're not going to be out and about in the same way, this is a perfect time to have Psychologies Magazine delivered to your door. And I've got a bit of, here's a new edition of Psychologies with the fantastic Ruby wax on the cover. This month she's done an amazing amount of work around mental health. So some great articles in there. My column Writing to Flourish is in there, and this month's I should say, is all about wild words. So some really good tips there around how to write without that little judge, that inner critic sitting on your shoulder. Welcome Sally Dream, welcome Gabrielle, welcome Kuala, welcome Rehan. So I just want to give you a couple of things from last week. I've got a few little props here with me today. This was the book that I talked about at the last session. I keep saying last week, last month. It does feel like last week. This is Nature's Way by a fantastic coach. Her name is Karen Prentice. It is a gem of a book. I'm going to get Karen on in 2021. Either in February or March. I'm going to do an interview with her. But thinking about Christmas lists, thinking about books that you want to read this side of the year or next year, this is a bumper edition of nature journal prompts. She is a fantastic at taking you through the seasons. That's what I really love about Karen's work. She really immerses you in writing prompts that are connected to summer, to the autumn, to the winter, and to the spring. And how lovely to see we've got somebody from Romania here, GOCDR. Welcome, lovely to have you here. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that, because I think there's nothing like having the book actually in your hand. So I really highly recommend that. So let's start with, I think one of 3 journal prompts that I want to share with you today. So I'm going to start off with the first journal prompt that is actually, you will find it in this edition, this month's edition, November's edition of Psychology's magazine. It's in my little column that I used to do before I started writing the Writing to Flourish column. I used to do some journal prompts called Paper Therapy. I'm laughing because I can see we've got quite an international crowd in with us today. So hello Kuala from United Arab Emirates. Lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. I don't know what time it is there, so I hope it's not too late for you and in Romania, but I really appreciate the fact that you've made the time to join us. So this first prompt, I thought what I would do is talk a little bit about the prompt that I have in the magazine each month. So Pen the Present is what I call a mindfulness prompt. And it's really inspired by the work of Kathleen Adams. I've mentioned her quite a bit because she has this really good model called the Journal Ladder. And it really takes you from very short writing prompts to much longer intuitive prompts. So you've got this, she sort of has given you this whole range of journal writing prompts that are quite, some are quite directive. So the kind of mode of travel, and others are kind of just give you that freedom to just be yourself on the page. But I know lots of you have said that actually sometimes it's just really hard to know where to start and what to say on the page and how to really ease yourself into the writing. And journal prompts are the best way to jumpstart or to get yourself moving on the page. And so that's why I share a lot of journal prompts. I've always been doing it in my writing retreats that I've been running for years, in my writing workshops. And actually, it's one of the ways that I actually get into journal writing on the page anyway. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to describe what it is to pen the present, which is taking a moment from your day and writing about it in more detail. That way, the day doesn't just drift past you. There's a really nice quote actually from, I'm noticing I'm using that word actually quite a lot today. There's a quote from Zadie Smith. She says, "The very reason I write is so that I might not sleepwalk through my entire life. The reason why I write is so that I might not sleepwalk through my entire life." Now this morning, I had to run a few errands before we go into lockdown here in the UK. And halfway during the day, I realised that I didn't have one of my rings on. And I thought, oh no, I've lost it in one of the shops that I had to pop into. And I was trying to track my steps, but it was so hard for me to remember whether I had my ring on my hand or not. Lo and behold, what happened when I got home? There was my ring sitting on my chest of drawers in my bedroom. So what that alerted me to was the fact that you can literally go through your day and you cannot be present. Well, let me use the word I cannot be present in my day. So what Pen the Present does as a journal writing prompt, it allows you to anchor yourself in the moment. It gets you to choose a moment from your day. It could be something that you saw. It could be a person that you had an encounter with. You could write about an object. You could write about the weather. So let me give you a couple of examples by what I mean around taking any of those and writing what Kathleen Adams called a captured moment from your day so that you can be more present with it. So I wrote a couple of short pieces in my journal this morning. One when I was sitting on the steps of a luxury block of flats that are flanking the River Thames. I was on the Fulham side of the Thames. I'd walked up the Battersea side of the Thames, crossed over the bridge, Wandsworth Bridge, and then I was walking back down the Fulham side of the Thames. And I decided to just sit for a moment rather than rushing back into my day because I was actually heading to an appointment. I thought I'm just going to sit for 5-10 minutes and just enjoy the river. So this is what I wrote. So it's taking that moment and really giving it a home in my journal. So I'm going to read it. So, well, the weather today has seen all the seasons rolled into one. A humid air front with blustery winds, sunshine, and then pelting rain, which disappeared as quickly as it arrived, followed by more sunshine. The weather is so often an accurate mirror of the range of feelings and emotions we go through on any given day. Take this morning as an example. Up at the crack of dawn, meditation, followed by writing. I'm doing 25 days of wild writing by Laurie Wagner. She simply talks for 5 minutes, reads a poem, chooses a prompt, which are most of the timelines from the poems, and then sends us off for 15 minutes of writing. This is one of the most effective ways to write when you believe that you can't keep going on your own. You get a guide and some company and you use the prompts. And then I just started to write about what I wanted to talk about on this call today. As I sat there on those steps, the sun came out, shone on my face. I had a plant in my hand. That's a long story and I'll tell you about that another day. So I ended up doing a selfie with the sun shining on my face, with the plant in my hand. And it was just this moment of just pure bliss. Didn't last for more than 10 seconds. But in that moment, I just found myself feeling really alive, really happy, contented. And now I've captured that moment in my diary. In fact, what I realised, I probably didn't even read you the right bit, because this is what I went on to write. I said, before finishing my morning walk, I sat on the steps of some luxury flats and took in the scene down the river towards the embankment. The sunlight flooded the river, bouncing off the water, reminding me of the summer days long gone. As the sunlight hit my face, I was prompted to take a photo of the latest houseplant to make it home with me, a philodendron. Days indoors always prompts me to buy a plant or two. I took this scene into my journal writing in what is known as a captured moment. So I really just want to encourage you that any moment can be a captured moment. Now, as I sat there on the river, I looked across and there were some boats moored out into the middle of the River Thames. And I watched this woman walk out of one of the boats, and she was dressed in a mustard-coloured trilby hat, which sat really exquisitely placed on the top of her head. She was wearing what looked to me like a wolf, and I'm sorry if I've offended any animal lovers. I'm sure there are loads on this call, but it looked like a wolf fur coat, which she was wearing as if it was a second skin. It hung beautifully on her. She had a really long walk along the pier, so I really got to see what she was wearing. She had on beige slacks, a pair of black boots, and she was you could just see that this was a woman who was just enjoying what she was wearing and enjoying her walk. And I watched her walk along the pier, flanked by two sides by water, whilst I was one side by water and the other part of me was on dry land. And she walked to the absolute end of the pier, and then I saw her disembark and come onto dry land and disappear up the side of the other side and disappear into Fulham somewhere. So, that's another example of a captured moment. And of course, as I went through the rest of the morning, I started to remember different things. I had a memory of when I bought my first fur coat from East Street Market in South London, and how just sumptuous it was, even though, I wouldn't wear a fur coat now. But my younger self loved it, and I went to a party in it, and even though there were lots of people in the room, I kept my fur coat on because I just felt so lovely in it. So the great thing about the captured moments is not only can you capture the beauty in your day, because what I didn't tell you was that moments later it poured down with rain, and you would never have known that there was sunshine. Had I not captured it in my journal, I could go through the rest of my day just forgetting about that wonderful moment sitting on the steps. So this is a way that we don't sort of just allow ourselves to drift through our days. The captured moment, pen in the present, writing about your moment or your person or the object, something around you. You could just take something from inside the room that you're in right now and just write about it in detail. Hold it in your hand, feel it, smell it, touch it. What's the texture like? And write about that. And then just feel free to go wherever you want to go in the writing. Yeah. So I'm hoping that you're capturing this in your notes, because today I'm going to suggest that we don't write on the session, but I'm going to give you these prompts so that you can write after this session. You can take it into your journal writing for the next few days, the next week, and certainly as we go into lockdown. So that was the example of a captured moment and pen the present. I like that quote, God is in the details, because when you write in detail like that, that's what happens. You really bring that moment alive. And yeah, Koala, I really agree with you. How lovely to enjoy what you wear. And do you know what was really interesting about that was that I really enjoyed watching her enjoying what she was wearing. And that's another thing about lockdown. I've been thinking, I really look forward to winter because I have a coat for every season. I have a coat of every colour. I love coats, and I love wearing my coats in the winter. And of course now, because of where we are and what's going on with COVID-19 and lockdown, I'm not getting to wear my coats. So as much as I can do in terms of when I come on Zoom, I spend an awful amount of time on Zoom. I try to wear as much colour as I can. I try to wear my clothes. I've got, girl loves her clothes. A woman loves her clothes. I've got a lot of clothes. I'm sure many people wave at me if you can identify with just having lots of clothes. But actually showing up on Zoom in different colours, even though I haven't done today. I'm in my navy top, but I actually really like this top. I like the sleeves of it. I really like sleeves. I'm a sleeves person. Anything with puff sleeves and big sleeves, I really, really like. So there we go. Zadie Smith, the very reason I write is so that I might not sleepwalk through my life. Journal writing prompt is to do a captured moment or pen the present. And also Joan Didion's quote, I write entirely to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see and what it means, what I did and what I fear. I write entirely to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what it means, what I did and what I fear. So there you go. First set of quotes for lockdown. Write your captured moment. Pen the present. Okay? Every moment there is a potential for you to write about it, but you get to choose which ones you take into your journal and allow them to allow you to bounce off into something else. Okay, so that's the first one. So the second journal prompt I'd like to leave you with is I've been thinking a lot about poetry. I would say that I started my love of writing, actually writing poetry. I had a fantastic teacher at school, Mrs. Hines, at primary school. And she was just an amazing teacher. And she really got us to express ourselves through art. In fact, I was at an exhibition yesterday, and I bumped into what one of my oldest friends. Her brother was at the exhibition, and he's into properties, a property developer, very successful one. And we just got talking because we were at an art exhibition for one of our friends. And he said to me, Jackee, I used to love to draw when I was a kid. Mrs. Hines really encouraged me. And I was like, oh my God, Mrs. Hines. She had such an impact on every single child that was in her class. And I remember writing a poem when I was about 6 or 7 in her class. It got entered into a competition for our brand new local library. And my poem won a consolation prize, and it got displayed in the library foyer. And so I think that really marked my love of poetry, as well as I remember the first poem that I remember being read at school was I Wandered Lonely Like a Cloud by William Wordsworth. And I remember that poem absolutely just getting me to just stay really still in my seat in the classroom as I drank in the words of I Wandered Lonely Like a Cloud. Anyway, I have gone on to write lots of poems. I don't stand up and read my poems very often, but a lot of them have found space on the page of my journals. And I like this quote by Phyllis Klein. She is what you call a narrative poet. She does a lot of work around poetry as medicine, and actually was a lovely piece I wrote by herself and Petri Longora around poetry and the impact of poetic dialogue. And this is how they described some of the therapeutic benefits of poetry. Because a poem has a border, a frame or structure, or as opposed to prose, the form itself is a safety net. I really love that. Because a poem has a border, a frame or structure, as opposed to prose, the form itself is a safety net. Strong emotions will not run off the page. A poetry therapist might ask his or her client to draw a box in the centre of the page and write the words inside. That, I just love that. And I started to get my clients many, many years ago to do that. I'd get them to draw shapes. I'd do it on workshops. I'd get them to draw a circle, draw a box, and say to them, write your poem in the shape. And it's amazing how that was just, it kind of, I think it evokes our creative spark and really juices people up. So it got me thinking about some poems that I've been using in my work since lockdown. There was one poem that I think Karen Prentice, actually, who wrote the Nature's Way book that I introduced right at the beginning of today's call, she introduced me to. So I want to leave you with a couple of poems and show and share with you how you can use poems to extract journal prompts for your journal writing. So the first poem I'd like to introduce you to is a poem called Adrift. And when we went into lockdown, it's by Mark Nepo. I started to introduce this poem at the beginning of coaching sessions, of team coaching calls, of Zoom calls. I'd introduce it at the end of a call. I'd get people to write their thoughts and reflections on the poem because it just seems so relevant to what we all had found ourselves in, that space that we had found ourselves in. So I'm going to read the poem to you. Adrift by Mark Nepo. Everything is beautiful and I am so sad. This is how the heart makes a duet of wonder and grief. The light spraying through the lace of the fern is as delicate as the fibres of memory forming their web around the knot in my throat. The breeze makes the birds move from branch to branch, as this aches makes me look for those I've lost in the next room, in the next song, in the laugh of the next stranger. In the very centre, under it all, what we have that no one can take away, and all that we've lost face, all that we've lost face each other. It is there that I am adrift, feeling punctured by a holiness that exists inside everything. I am so sad, and everything is beautiful. Now, just in terms of time, I'm not going to read that poem again, but I encourage you to look it up. It's Adrift by Mark Nepo. Now, as I was reading it, you know, what really motivated and inspired me to introduce this poem was the juxtaposition between sadness and beauty, beauty and sadness. That's what I've experienced with lockdown. There's been huge waves of sadness and huge waves of beauty. Huge waves of sadness, huge waves of beauty. And sometimes a poem can say it even more succinctly than sometimes when we write a narrative or we write prose. Now, the way you can work with poetry and take it into your journal is to use a line from the poem as your jump off line. Now, I love the repetition in this poem at the start and at the beginning. So I chose a couple of lines in which you could take these lines and use them to jumpstart your journal writing, or to jump off into your journal writing, or you can decide on other words or other lines in the poem that really spoke to you and use those. So my prompts are: everything is beautiful, and I am so sad. Thank you, Rose. It's a beautiful poem. Thank you. I think that this line is a really great line to help you name the ambivalent feelings, to acknowledge the yin and the yang that happens from moment to moment, to talk about the beautiful things and to talk about the sad things. So, once again, I've got another friend who is ill. This has been just a journey of losing friends during COVID-19, close friends, wonderful people, holy people, just losing them. And, you know, I think that line would really give permission for us to speak to what the sadness looks like in our lives and what the beauty looks like in our lives. And then I love the way Mark starts off with everything is beautiful and I am so sad. And then he finishes with I am so sad and everything is beautiful. And you can just choose one of those lines to get started with. And, you know, you might also choose the line, it is there that I am adrift. Where are you adrift? Where do you feel adrift in your life right now, in your day, in your work, in your relationships, in your body, in your soul, in your spirit? Write about that. So as you can see, just choose a line, use it as your first prompt, jump off into that line and off you go. So, and then the last poem that I'd like to leave you with is a poem by the wonderful Roger Robinson, who I actually do know. And it's really funny how you meet a poem. So I was, I'm based in London, so I was down the King's Road and I was going to meet my friend to have breakfast. And I was walking to the cafe and right in front of me, couldn't miss it, was a billboard. And on it was Roger's poem from his book. I think I had bought it with me. I had to go and buy it. I'd been meaning to buy it for over a year when he won the Forward Prize, but I should have bought it before that anyway. It's such an intimate collection of his experiences of being a black man in the UK, from Trinidad, everything that means, and just a real rich tapestry of life is reflected in A Portable Paradise. Wonderful, wonderful collection. And so the poem that was on the billboard, in fact, let me see, where is it? It's the final poem in the book, on page 81, and it's called A Portable Paradise. And I'd like to leave you with this as our third journal prompt to support you as we go into lockdown here in the UK. And maybe you'll see why when I read it. A Portable Paradise by Roger Robinson. And if I speak of paradise, then I am speaking of my grandmother, who told me to carry it always on my person, concealed, so that no one else would know but me. That way they can't steal it, she'd say. And if life puts you under pressure, trace its ridges in your pocket. Smell its piney scent on your handkerchief. Hum its anthem under your breath. And if your stresses are sustained and daily, get yourself into an empty room, be it hotel, hostel, or hovel. Find a lamp and empty your paradise onto a desk. Your white sands, green hills, and fresh fish. Shine the lamp on it like fresh hope of morning, and keep staring at it till you sleep. A Portable Paradise by Roger Robinson. I have to say I felt very moved reading that then. Very, very moved. So, my question to you, what line jumped out at you? I'll start off with some of mine. Maybe if you can, just write it in the comment. You know, what line jumped out at you? The lines that jumped out at me were, and if I speak of paradise. Right now, I wonder what paradise would look like or feel like for you. In the midst of everything that is going on around us, what if you took that as a journal prompt into your journal today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, at the weekend? And if I speak of paradise, and write. And when you get to a blank, repeat the phrase again. And if I speak of paradise, and see what else comes. And when you get blank again, repeat the phrase. And if I speak of paradise, and just keep going. The other line that I really liked was, and if life puts you under pressure. I think we can all relate to that one. And if life puts you under pressure. And I'm going to jump in here because Rose has put a line that she really, really resonated with her. I know, find a lamp and empty your paradise onto a desk. Guess what? That was my next one, Rose. So we're on the same page. Find a lamp. It's shine the lamp. find a lamp. Hold on, let me just find it in the poem. Yes, it is. Find a lamp and empty your paradise onto a desk and write. I wonder what you would see under the lamp. Deb Mack has said that that's also her favourite line. Find a lamp and empty your paradise onto a desk. So those were the lines that jumped out at me at this wonderful poem by Roger Robinson. And in fact, if you want to listen to more of, if you want to hear more about that poem, you can go on to On Being, the podcast, On Being with Krista Tippett, because they have chosen that as their poem of the week. And they've done a really nice review, their view of the poem, which is a good listen to as well. So Rachel, the poem that I read, I've read 2 poems today. The first one was Adrift by Mark Nepo, which I read. And then the one that we've just finished on is A Portable Paradise by Roger Robinson. And the idea is that you choose a few lines from the poem that jumps out at you, and then you use those as prompts for your journal writing over the next week or 2 weeks as we go into lockdown in the United Kingdom. So how about I finish with reading A Portable Paradise to take us out today? Just a reminder that, you can order Psychology's magazine to be delivered to your door as we go into lockdown. You can also read the magazine online. Our next Writing to Flourish is on Monday the 7th of December. We've got Artie Josie has just said that I can't pronounce his name. I didn't pronounce his name. I don't think I will pronounce his name correctly. But Padraig Otuma, who is the host of the On Being podcast, the On Being Poetry podcast, is Artie Josie's friend. That's lovely. Great. He's got a wonderful voice as well when he read Roger's poem. Sandy is saying that she likes the line. Let me find the line that Sandy likes. Shine the lamp on it like fresh hope of morning and keep staring at it until you sleep. So we will go out to A Portable Paradise. I hope Roger is pleased that his poem has really energised and touched you all today, and also the poem from Mark Nepo as well. I think they're both beautiful pieces. And I look forward to seeing you again on December the 7th. I hope these journal prompts will inspire you as you turn to your journals over the course of lockdown. Please do. I've got a new Instagram name. I've changed because it was getting really confusing because I had a few Instagram accounts and I just thought actually I need to just really streamline them. So I've now gone to Jackee Holder, JACKEE Holder, HOLDER Global. So it's Jackee Holder Global is where you will find me. That's where you'll get lots more tips around journal writing. You'll also see me just on my local walks now as we go into lockdown. You can send me questions. You can direct message me there. Instagram is the place that you can find me. And also I will pick up some of your questions and your comments by coming back onto the Psychology's Insta feed as well when we load up the Insta Live. Rose, just to say that the next session, the final session for the year, is on Monday the 7th of December at 5 p.m. where we will go live. I hope to increase the number of sessions that I do in the new year because I'm having such a good time. I just think there's so much to share, and it's just so lovely to be here with you that I will probably do more in the month as well, and definitely load up more onto Psychology's TV, where you will also be able to find more of the videos as well. So that's it from me. I'll go out to A Portable Paradise, just read it one more time, and then I hope to see you all on December the 7th. So here we go. A Portable Paradise by Roger Robinson. And if I speak of paradise, then I am speaking of my grandmother, who told me to carry it always on my person, concealed, so no one else would know but me. That way they can't steal it, she'd say. And if life puts you under pressure, trace its ridges in your pocket. Smell its piney scent on your handkerchief. Hum its anthem under your breath. And if your stresses are sustained and daily, get yourself into an empty room, be it hotel, hostel, or hovel. Find a lamp, an empty paradise onto a desk. Your white sands, green hills, and fresh fish. Shine the lamp on it like fresh hope of morning, and keep staring at it till you sleep. A Portable Paradise by Roger Robinson. I look forward to seeing you again Monday, December the 7th, for our final in the series Writing to Flourish, Insta Lives with Psychology's magazine. My name's Jackee Holder. Be safe out there. Take care. I hope that your journals are good company for you as we step into lockdown. Go well. See you December. Bye.